Burned, a Miraculous Ladybug Fanfiction Part 10. Written and narrated by Eleanor Rose. Today's theme is communication. Normally I'd be in a recording studio for this, but that's not possible right now. And my cat is playing with bags in the room, so I'm a bit too lazy to edit that out. Anyway. Now then. Let's get burned. The fire truck sirens grew louder as Cat Noir perched over the mess he made, acutely aware of Ladybug's hand on his shoulder. How much could a guy mess up in one day? His thoughts drew to the night before when he accidentally caused someone to get akumatized and wondered if there was any way to avoid what happened. He'd ridden on the hope that Chloe Bourgeois would make a spectacle denying Marinette was her precious ladybug once they started popping into the news as a couple, but that wasn't how it went. Adrien should have known how aggressive his fan base was. A mob of teenage girls is fierce and fearsome, after all. He'd started just as planned, picking up Marinette for a night on the town. She'd worn the skin-tight one-piece jumper with a statement necklace, and Adrien wasn't used to her eyes being so close to his when they walked into the restaurant from the pumps she strapped on. Referencing the romance movies he'd grown up watching, Adrien thought he did everything right. He pulled out her chair, shared an appetizer, and took a photo for social media. Was that where it started to fall apart? They turned off their phones at that point, as the constant dinging would distract them from the moment. The moment. Was that it? That he stopped pretending they were together for publicity, and instead he was there with Marinette, his person. Did his following see what he saw and got mad at her for it? They saw that he cared about her, and it fueled their spite? Or was it the leak he paid a reporter, and it got out of hand? That the photo shoot location wasn't secure, and the crowd that got in did more damage than anyone predicted? Maybe it was the angles the photographer grasped at, pushing him and Marinette so close together that he could hear his heart beating louder than the screaming fans in the lobby. Maybe it was the way her body heat threw him off guard, and they had to do an uncharacteristic amount of redos. It could have been the way he walked her to the car, ignoring the pleas for an autograph from dozens of girls. It could have been the smile and small wave he gave Marinette as the car pulled away. Anything might have been the hook for an Akuma to latch onto a fangirl, but here he was. After hours of back-and-forth fighting with an akumatized victim, hidden behind a chimney in the south of Paris. He'd overexerted himself, and Ladybug looked worn as well. Usually they could read each other, like one soul moving across two bodies, but Cat didn't feel that connection tonight. He was like a recently declawed cat, fumbling around aimlessly while wondering what happened to his elegance while he was out. Cat! His attention snapped to Ladybug's cry as she tackled him, taking them both over the roof's edge as the chimney blew into parts. The headliner, the Akuma victim he helped create, found them again without giving them a chance to recoup and get a plan in place. Thanks, he grunted, a bit too fog-headed to make a crack at her embrace. It was a miracle she shielded him at all. I still don't know where the Akuma is. Any ideas? Cat looked up at her, pinned to the ground as she hovered over him protectively. What if it isn't the news? He said, an idea crossing his mind. What if it's because she's a jilted fan? Kitty, we've gone over this already. Just listen, please. Ladybug pursed her lips, looking a bit guilty as she sat down from her downward-facing dog pose over him. What do you think it is? She asked. Her voice was softer now, but he couldn't tell if it was a change in attitude or because she didn't want to be found. An unsigned autograph. She was at a photo shoot for Adrian Agreste because the location leaked, and he didn't sign anything because he was escorting his partner for the day. So it's in her backpack? Or the Sharpie in her hair? It could be either one. Another siren went off, signaling Ladybug to help him onto his feet to get back into action. I think I know enough to get a lucky charm out. I hope you're right about this, Kitty. If I'm wrong, we'll have to regroup and try again. We'll make it, LB. We always do. She shrugged and smiled, restarting his heart as he followed her to the Eiffel Tower. It was a favorite spot to fight at, as the evacuation system in place was the best in town for Akuma fights, meaning there was less chance of an irreversible casualty and fewer people to worry about assisting the victim. They'd be okay. The two of them always were, but Cat Noir felt personally responsible this time around. It wasn't a good feeling. He couldn't understand why Hawkmoth would continuously do this day in and day out if it meant feeling like this. Had he no empathy? The question didn't matter at the moment, but it would prove to be something he had to ask. Until then, it was time to fight. It's what earned him the right to wear his mask, and he had to do everything he could to protect that.